to taste some victory finally today. Viktoria SHERBYNA makes her way to the ring. She was able to beat Nika Lopac of Croatia by unanimous decision in her semi-final. It was a semi-final where she went about her business in sometimes a rather cumbersome manner, but she just keeps coming forward, keeps the fists almost pumping as she walks forward, always aiming high and trying to push her opponent back after the punch. And she was just on the aggressive throughout, and she was able to keep the momentum going as well and stay aggressive and keep the punches coming in that semi-final. She takes on the Russian Sofia OKHOTNIKOVA, who comes to the ring able to get past the Turkish fighter Fatma Karikolu on unanimous decision in her semi-final, and very similar to SHERBYNA in her semi-final, but even more of a battering ram through her opponent. Just keeps coming forward. It was a rather erratic bout at times where both fighters were fairly untidy in moments, and there was a lot of close quarters action where both fighters were just pushing and shoving on each other's faces in moments. But OKHOTNIKOVA, I still feel that she has to perform as the final Russian female coming out and trying to make it at least not a clean sweep for every single final, obviously, but a clean sweep for the Russians in their finals in the women's bouts this afternoon here in Tbilisi, Georgia. SHERBYNA was quick out of her corner in her semi-final as well, almost came rushing and racing out. OKHOTNIKOVA not quite as aggressive from the get-go as the two touch gloves. Haven't seen that from every single pair of fighters before their finals this afternoon. And those two at least showing enough respect to each other before we get round one underway in the light heavyweight category. And certainly already far tighter than we saw. That's a very good left that gets the Ukrainian stumbling back slightly, and now she starts to plough forward. And the two just start to trade blows on the side of the ring. It seemed to be a little tactical initially, and then as soon as that left hand caught the Ukrainian, they both got really aggressive. And they go back to scouting each other out. The Ukrainian trying to come around with the right, and that southpaw stance going over the top, and OKHOTNIKOVA able to get her head down and underneath and avoid it. She catches the Ukrainian with a good left, followed by a right eventually, but SHERBYNA is trying not to be rattled or bothered by these and trying to be as quick to fire back with some venom of her own. Swing and a miss with the left. Trying to get outside. That's a lovely right hand straight down the middle after she drew her in with the left from OKHOTNIKOVA. Just landing the better of the punches, the Russian, at the moment. And rebuttals aren't as effective from the Ukrainian. And again, she gets her head rocked back as OKHOTNIKOVA goes to work once more in close quarters. About 30 seconds to go in this round. And the Russian is certainly the more controlled aggression and landing the better shots right now.
She is. The 1-2 works well for her. A little bit messy at times, this, when they get up close like they are here.
And that's what we had for large parts of both of their semi-finals on Friday. But when they are at any sort of distance, it's the Russian who is far more tactical with her shots, and again she starts to rain down some volleys as they get close, and round one is in the books, and you would probably give that to OKHOTNIKOVA on the balance of things. It was always a response and a rebuttal from SHERBYNA in that final, and the judges go 10s across the board, 10-9 across the board in favour of the Russian out of the blue corner.
Which was the only way you could go, really. She was the one who landed all the quality in that round. You see her just cuffing SHERBYNA around, to be honest with you, in that opening couple of minutes. OKHOTNIKOVA staying on her feet over on the far side.
As you said earlier on today, there's been different tactics used by the corners in between rounds. We've seen the Italians with the almost a lazy boy legs up on the coach. And the Russian in the blue corner, staying upright. Looking to add to her success this year with a couple of victories in tournaments in Russia already in 2021. It's a very well controlled rally as she just was able to step away from the right hand of SHERBYNA there. When she throws those flurry of punches, she's aiming, and she caught well with the right hand there as she came up as well there, did OKHOTNIKOVA. She's got a little bit more movement too to avoid the worst of the blows, and again she catches 3 or 4 times now. SHERBYNA just around the top of the head.
That was really good boxing from OKHOTNIKOVA, because she's backed up to the rope. She dipped to her left-hand side, threw her left hand into the body, and then just rolled away to her right and caught her with a 1-2 combination. She's got no space to work in there, but she's comfortable under pressure, and that's always impressive when you see a fighter able to do that, because they'll tell you when you speak to any boxer that one of the key things is you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and OKHOTNIKOVA she looks at home in there, doesn't she, like so many of them have so far today.
And again, using that just added mobility, she's got to duck under the big swings of her opponent. She's doing well to, as she ducks, come back up and land something of her own. Good straight right catches. And then it's wild and erratic again from the Ukrainian, and that causes her to just walk into another 1-2 with a right-left, and the left certainly caught her right round the jaw. OKHOTNIKOVA is taking more and more control as the last few seconds tick away in this second round. Again, she catches her opponent 2 quick rights and a right followed by a left, and that third right again catching square right in the front of the face. This is going to be draining SHERBYNA quite a lot. The number of punches that she's taken does look more tired as the round goes on. Round 2 is in the books, and again you can only see this one going one way right now, because Sofia OKHOTNIKOVA looks in complete control, and again it is 10-9 across the board from the judges for the Russian.
It reminds me a bit, this fight, of a semi-final I saw at middleweight a couple of days ago involving a fighter we've just seen, Valeria Narutdinova. She was up against another Ukrainian in Anastasia Saranyuk, and it was a very similar kind of dynamic. Saranyuk, like her Ukrainian teammate here, SHERBYNA, came forward relentlessly, but without any real signs to it. She didn't really move ahead. She was coming in quite square, aggressive and brave and game and all of those things, but she just got hit a lot by a composed and skillful opponent, and that's what's happening here. She's taking some real stick in there, SHERBYNA.
OKHOTNIKOVA this time sitting down in the corner before round 3 gets underway. And you have to admire that approach from SHERBYNA, because it is brave, but it's almost slightly foolhardy as well, particularly with the number of punches that she's taking right now. And again, caught with a left on the jaw as she leant in, looking to try and find something to connect with OKHOTNIKOVA. Goes for the body now. At least is able to land a couple of rights, but again, as they come away from each other, a left is square in the face.
That was a little bit better from SHERBYNA at times, so she did try and move ahead on the way in there, and that's what she does need to try and to do going forward, because long term there's not all that much future in fighting like this. Not at this level. You'll overwhelm opponents at a lower level, and still at a good level, a national level. In the earlier rounds of these competitions, maybe you can get on top of someone with your sheer pressure and they panic a little bit possibly, or don't really have the power to keep you off. But when you get up to this kind of level and you're dealing with someone like OKHOTNIKOVA, this is, for someone like her, this is easy. She's making this look easy.
And OKHOTNIKOVA does quite clearly have the power to ensure that pressure isn't a problem at all. As it gets once more slightly untidy, and a right comes a little too late as they came away from each other. And then it's another quick combination that once more the Ukrainian just walks into. And about 25 seconds to go in this final round. SHERBYNA continuing to come forward. That time she does get her head down, but it's too low. She needs to keep it up still. Last 10 seconds of the bout. OKHOTNIKOVA's got this job well and truly done. Now she's trying to finish with a bit of a flurry as she keeps swinging at her opponent, and she does exactly that. At least 4, maybe 5 that connected quite nicely around the head of SHERBYNA. And the Russian onslaught here in Georgia is going to continue in these gold medal bouts, because there's only one winner. OKHOTNIKOVA straight from the get-go. She dominated her opponent. She was composed whenever she threw a volley of punches. Again, it was clinical, and it was certainly well aimed and fired upon.
By unanimous decision is a boxer from blue corner, Sofiia.
Wonderful, tactical, powerful punches from OKHOTNIKOVA. Sees her arm raised. She heads over to the Ukrainian's corner. And it's another gold for Russia.
A couple of 10-8s in that final round as well, which you could understand. So good win for OKHOTNIKOVA. That's a 10th gold medal in this women's section for Russia. 10 out of 12 fights so far, and that's where it will remain, because the super heavyweight, or the heavyweight bout rather, the final is between Polina Chenenko of Ukraine and Dilan Balakiz of Turkey. But what an afternoon Russia have had. 10 gold medals, and they've all performed well. Different kinds of styles to a number of them, but that was a very efficient display of accurate punching.
And the Russians have grown more dominant in their victories as the afternoon has gone on as well. I mean, that perhaps not as dominant as a couple of the others that we've seen, but from that first 5 bouts that we thought, well, the Russians look like they could still be tested at times, to what we've seen in the previous 5 and these last 2 as well of the final section after the last medal ceremony. It's been clinical.